Good to go. Hey.
All right.
How you doing,
Perfect.
sir?
I'm
Gino
well. How are
One
you?
more time. What was your name?
Vijay Bindingnavele.
It is nice to meet you. I've had a lot of requests to talk to you. I've heard a lot of great things about you, so I'm gonna let you introduce yourself first, and then we're just here to talk about everything.
Freeform, huh? Okay. I'm Vijay Bindingnavele. Been here in Corpus Christi for a little over 15 years, doing plastic surgery. Have my practice for all that time. Before that, I was in Los Angeles doing plastic surgery. Before that, 10 years in the Air Force doing
really?
General and trauma surgery. Yeah.
Wow. So you went from the Air Force doing general. So you probably saw a lot of crazy things then, right?
We were, it was a privilege because it was a time when I was needed, but it's never a great thing, because it's our young guys who are getting hurt.
Yeah, they can just kind of keep you hanging back and then like, no, nothing today, right?
Yeah.
It's probably the better days.
It would be a better day.
Oh, wow.
It would be a better day.
So that's where you started surgery? That's where you started? Did you want to go into that field when you first started?
Yeah. So when I finished, in medical school, you always have a few options. Where you're going to go, which direction. The idea of surgery really appealed to me, because you have all the knowledge and your skills, physical and mental, are needed right there and then. And what you use them for is for saving life and limb.
Yeah.
And so just joined the Air Force. Shortly after I joined, then the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts kind of kicked off. So then our skills were really needed.
Where were you deployed at?
I was deployed to Al Udeid. So we were there 7 months, but a bunch of little deployments. Other than that, we were in the old Yugoslavia and smaller deployments, but mainly.
So what year was that?
So I was in Germany 2001 through 2005. So at that time I was going all over the place. Before that, we were in Korea and California mainly.
So before like email, social media, you were not connecting with anybody back home, right? Did it feel kind of lonely?
There was email.
Okay.
There was email, so it's not like the old days when you write a little letter. And
Yeah,
drop
but
it
I think
off at the
2001 is
post office.
probably like what, Yahoo,
Yeah.
Hotmail,
Yeah.
AOL.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
It wasn't what it is now, where people are getting millions of emails a day, right?
Correct. Yeah, you were excited to get an email. There was no.
Who is it?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like junk mail where you go through the top 100 and you kick off 85 without reading it, and then 15. So it was tough. We just got married, then I got deployed, and I was out there in the desert for 7 months. But it's a duty. It's a
So are you
privilege.
doing surgery like out in the desert, or did you work?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
On the front line? That's crazy.
Well, not front lines. They generally don't put surgeons on
Okay.
the front lines because you're slightly farther behind. Front lines.
So they're bringing them to you.
Correct.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you don't want to hand a gun to a surgeon.
I'm trying to do surgery here as you're like shooting back.
Yeah.
Man, so I guess that's probably what led you to maybe a little bit, not say slower pace, but a safer kind of environment, or would you just?
Well, see, you do a lot of life and limb salvage in surgery, right? In general and trauma surgery. So that's really good. It's exciting. But what we always had to do is to get the job finished, you would send somebody back stateside, or occasionally we'd have plastic surgeons in Germany to recover both form and function.
Oh.
And so, as I continued in my career as a general surgeon, I realized, you know what? I like that idea. So in addition to just limb salvage and life-saving and limb-saving surgery, I decided I also like to worry about the form aspect of things, where you take care of that as well.
I guess because when you're doing the work you're doing at first, it's just survival. Like,
Correct.
hey, I need this person to live. Let's fix what we got to fix.
Correct.
But then more cosmetic-wise, afterwards, when they're doing okay, it's like, hey, but now I'm left like this or whatever it was.
Absolutely. Like, how do I get the nerve to start working again?
man.
How do I reconstruct the fingers so it actually works like a hand, or, save the limb? Because, initially you're just getting rid of the, stopping the blood loss, salvaging as much of the limb as you can. Then it goes on to the form and function aspect of things.
So when
Make
you
it
think
look
about-
good and work well.
When you think about surgery, I guess I haven't thought about it right now till you're saying this. There's so many different fields, so many different specialists.
Yeah.
I mean, is there pretty much a specialist for every part of the body? Or is it kind of like, hey, I handle upper end, or I handle lower end, or I handle limbs?
It depends on how far you want to get into it. There are general broad specialties in surgery. For example, you have orthopedic surgery, who deal mainly with the bones and joints and ligaments. Then you'll have neurosurgery, works mainly with the brain and spine.
That seems like the scariest stuff to mess with. It's like all the hard wiring.
Right. You don't want to drop the computer. You don't want a hard reboot. Not good there. Then ophthalmology focuses on the eye. With plastic surgery, the name plastic comes from moldable. right? So we mold things. For example, say somebody loses a nose due to either war or injury or infection, whatever happens. So the plastic surgeon then reconstructs the nose by molding the soft tissues to recreate the nose.
But I guess there's really no plastic anymore. Was there at one point?
There was never plastic.
Oh, so why is it called plastic surgery?
Because it comes from the Greek word plastikos.
Really?
Yeah. Plastikos means moldable. So you see how you can take a piece of plastic, you can make this out of it. You can make, you can make
pens, candles.
I bet you everything on this table has plastic.
Yeah, well, all these little things, toys.
All plastic, right? So the root of both is the same, right? But the plastic surgery has nothing to do with
that.
Plastic.
Just blew my mind, because if you think about all the times people are like, oh, that girl's so plastic, or oh, that's plastic. There's literally no plastic.
No plastic. None.
I don't know why I still thought there's like Tupperware.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Excuse my naiveness. That's why I have you in here, to learn this kind of stuff, because you do a job that for 10 years now. You've been here 10 years, right? 15 years.
Over 15.
But 10 years here in Corpus, right?
No, 15 in Corpus.
But you're celebrating your office 10 years is what I saw.
Correct.
Okay.
We've been in a new location for 10 years.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you did in California, in my mind, that kind of seems like the birthplace of plastic surgery. Is it?
It was a great place to train. USC, because you have incredible surgeons in whatever field you want. You have reconstructive with free tissue transfer, where you reconstruct entire breasts after they've been removed for breast cancer. Reconstruct ears, mouths, what have you. You got the experts. On the cosmetic side of things, you have the experts on that side. Facelifts, rhinoplasties, Brazilian butt lifts, whatever it is you want to learn. Los Angeles be the place. So that's why I went there after I got out of the military to do my training.
That was my next question. I was like, okay, so you said I'm doing this, I'm in the military, and then you said, no, I'm going to go do cosmetics. Was there someone you met back then that kind of led you in and said, hey, come this way?
Well, the cosmetic part is a part of plastic surgery, because it's whether you're doing reconstruction, which is recreating the nose, or you're making the nose prettier. It's really just ends of the same spectrum, because you always want, reconstruction is aesthetics and aesthetic is reconstruction, because if you make a nose look real good but you can't breathe through it,
it's pointless.
Right, it's pointless. So it's really both combined, and a really good plastic surgeon does a great job with both.
I would say so. So my wife's experience with plastic surgery has been pretty good.
Right.
Over the years,
It's
I've been my wife 14 years, and I've seen her do certain things that made her as a woman feel better. Is your clientele here, Corpus, mainly women, or do you have some men as well?
We have both male
What
and
are men
female.
doing right now? What's the hot men thing?
Well, there's a lot of things, in terms of non-surgical things, is hair loss, right? We have PRP injections, which work really well.
What is that?
PRP is called platelet-rich plasma. So you draw the blood out, then you spin it in a centrifuge, and the centrifuge splits it into blood, which is the red blood cells. Then you have platelet-rich plasma, and then you have platelet-poor plasma. So you take that platelet-rich plasma, and you inject it into that part of your hair or hairline where there's thinning of the hair or some early hair loss, and it does a great job bringing the hair back. That's a part of a lot of men.
So is it like, okay, so I have maybe the last couple of years I've noticed just a little bit thinner. I'm pretty good, though. Like, I have a pretty good set of hair, actually. So it's pretty good.
It looks pretty, yeah.
My question is, for people that do that, if you do,
you don't have to worry about it.
If you do one little spot here, and then will you get up to a point where it's like everything starts losing hair, or does it spread? And what I mean by that is, well, I have like a little unicorn right here. As the years go on, where this spot's nice and treated, but then the back part or other areas, maybe they haven't.
It all depends. Hair loss can have different causes. It can be pure genetic. It's called androgenic alopecia, where your hairline falls back or you lose some hair on the crown of your head. So it's genetically predetermined. Or it can be due to tension. Some people like to pull their hair back real tight.
What about hats? I wear a lot of hats.
Hats could do that if it's pulling your hair back, but your hair's perfect. You got no hair issues.
I'm just thinking pre-maintenance, because I know that as people grow older, I just turned 40 in November, and as people get older, there's certain little things that we start to think about.
Yes.
Okay, what's within my realm of doing myself? What can I go to the gym
Got
to
it.
fix? And then what are things that I'm like, dang, there's nothing I can do with that.
If you start to notice hair loss, thinning, that'd be the time to start. And you want to start off with certain simple things. You can put creams on your hair, lotions that can help there. But if it progresses despite that, that's when you would come to see us.
Okay.
And we can
I'm
help
good
you
for
with
now.
it.
Okay.
You're definitely good for now, yeah.
So what do you prefer to specialize in? What did you learn when you were in California?
Well, we did a lot of everything, And,
Is that just because of the market?
well, it's because of training, right? If you want to be a real good plastic surgeon, like I said, you want to be good at both the reconstructive and the cosmetic side because they really go hand in hand. There's no difference. And the better you get at analyzing and treating certain areas, then you really get better in plastic surgery as a whole. So when you start off training, you want to get as good as you can at everything and learn and absorb as much knowledge as you can so that when you go out into practice and you start doing things, you have a certain predilection, like certain liking to go in a certain direction, and then you'll notice you get real good results with certain things, so you continue along that route.
But before you get to that point, so I'll preface this with my dad was a hairstylist his whole life.
Okay.
And so I got to see him work with all types of different women, all types of different trends as years went on. And, you mess someone's hair up and it's like, okay, we'll see in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So when you're training and you're going through these first phases and you're learning what you're good at, do you have test subjects? Like, hey, look, this is my first time doing this. It's going to be on the house, but...
No, you don't. Because what you're doing early on, there's a lot of watching and graded responsibility increase. So the first few times you're just watching. Let's take rhinoplasties, for example.
Okay, so you're in there watching someone else.
Absolutely. You're watching them. And then after that, you're helping them. And then after you start helping them for a little while, then they let you do certain aspects of things. And then so by the time you finish your training, now you got to remember, after you finish 4 years of college, you do 4 years of med school. And then I did 5 years of surgery. And then I did 3 years of plastic surgery. So there's a whole lot of training that goes into it. So that by the time you finish that 8 years, the thought is you're going to get good enough to get reasonable results at everything that you want to do. Of course, there's some things you may not see, and then you shouldn't do it, right? Because you don't want to. It's not like your nose.
I guess those
is
are the people that
regrow.
probably don't last, right? Those are the ones that get into it, they do all the training, and they get in the operating room. It's like, yeah, maybe you're not fit. You're cut out for this.
Absolutely, and they'll shift. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to do or aesthetic plastic surgery. You can do other things in plastic surgery where the aesthetic ideal may not be as apparent or as critical for your results. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. So as the years went on in California, what ended up bringing you to Texas?
Well, we looked around. I had a few kids, right?
So at that point, you had your kids?
Yes. Because I was an older guy. I haven't been in the military for a little while.
You don't seem like an older guy. How many kids you got?
We have 5.
5, really?
5, yeah. 5.
Boys and girls?
4 girls and a boy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's the youngest? What's the oldest?
3.5.
Oh, you have a 3.5-year-old?
And a 19-year-old.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a good spread.
It's a good spread. Yeah, it is. Keeps me young.
I bet.
At least that's what they say.
I don't know. I have 2, and my one girl does not keep me young. She makes me feel really, really old every single day.
That's a little one.
Yeah, she's 11 going on 21. So I feel it. I couldn't imagine with 4. My wife comes from 5 girls.
Wow.
And 1 boy.
That's
so,
wonderful.
Yeah, she grew up just with women everywhere all the time.
It's wonderful. It's love.
Do you feel like you're just growing up with a bunch of women?
Oh, yeah. It's great because you're surrounded by love all the time. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to feel. Like, let me ask you a question. So what's the best part of your day and what's the worst part of your day?
Ooh, well, the best part has to be when I'm surrounded with family.
Yeah.
Family and friends.
End of the day and the beginning? Or does it matter?
Well, so the beginning of the day, they're little and they're going
hectic.
to school.
Yeah.
So maybe not all mornings are ideal. I enjoy it, for the most part, because I know it's temporary. But sometimes it gets a little stressful on mama and the kids because they got to go already and get them out of the house. So that's the best part of the day. The worst part of the day, boy.
Because you have a very stressful job, I would think. So there's got to be those moments where you're like, all right, this is what keeps me sane.
It is, but I've been doing this so long, I've kind of limited to things I really enjoy now.
Yeah.
So the worst part of the day, it would be, when I notice opportunities for improvement in those around me. How's that?
Yeah.
How's that? Because that's tough. It's as good as we are, because you manage people, and managing people most of the time is great. But just about always, there's opportunities for improvement.
Sure.
And so you have to learn how to phrase it in such a way where it's the constructive criticism is taken in a good way and not a bad way. So that probably is the toughest part of the day.
Well, how many people do you have that you're managing at your office?
In our office, we have 13.
Really?
Yeah.
And so how many surgeons? Are you the only surgeon?
Oh, yeah. I'm the only surgeon. And we have an office manager who does most of the direct day-to-day management, for sure. But, you add that, and then you add the 5 kids, and that's a good amount of people management.
I feel like as I get older, maybe you feel this way too. And I've told my wife, like, the answer to the same question, the best part of the day, for me, end of the day, sun's going down in the backyard, and we're all home, and we're all there. Beautiful. And everybody's alive, and everybody's safe. And I know that seems like a really simple thing, but I think as with stressful as life has been the last few years for a lot of people for different reasons, for me, that's okay. We get it. We did it. Now we go to bed. We can relax, wake up, start all over again. What do we got tomorrow? We'll handle it tomorrow.
It's beautiful. I mean, that's grounding.
But it's weird when you're younger. It's like you have so many different things that you want to put out there. And my dad would always give me that advice. Like, son, if everybody, his thing was, and his best advice, and I still think about it, if you have a problem, money can solve it. It's not a problem. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Because I was always stressing about different things. Money-wise, like, I need to get this, I need to do this, I need to pay this, do that. And he's like, son, it's all fine. Like, as long as you are alive, and if money can fix it, it's not a problem. Because there's so many people that do have these problems that no matter the amount of money, you can't buy the time, you can't buy the health, you can't buy the anything.
Brilliant words to live by. That's fantastic.
But it's hard because you have to go through it every day. It's like, all right, here we go again.
By the time your dad absorbed it,
oh, yeah.
I'm sure he wasn't 30.
No.
Right?
He was, the time I remember in growing up, him saying it, he was probably in his late 50s.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, it's hard. Different people can get it different ways, right? Some people get it real early, and then I don't know what they do, right? If you're grown up and wise early on in life, what do you do after that?
Do you feel like you're already trying to pass on some of that advice to the kids, or they're not getting it?
All the time.
Yeah.
But
are they listening?
That's hard. We'll see. Well, they're doing great. The kids are wonderful. It's almost, and I'm sure you agree, we learn as much from them as they learn from us, right? It's pretty amazing, because at the same time, we teach them like things like your dad taught us, right? Hey, listen, these are small problems. These are really small issues. But then at the same time, the way they wake up all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and, thinking the world's fantastic and they're going to take it on and do it, we learn from that because we're like, you know what? That's true. Every morning it is a brand new world and it's wonderful.
Especially when you're feeling tired. Like last night, we just got back from out of town, and last night we're there. The kids are back with us. We just had a really lazy day. Like, hey, we're going to relax. They've been on intercession. They go year-round, so they've been off all week.
This is London.
They go to London, yeah.
Fantastic.
And so they went back today, but last night, we're just tired. And my son comes in. He's like, hey, you want to play soccer? You want to play goalie? My natural instinct was, dude, no way, bro. And then I was like, you know what? This is the time of day where I said it's the best part of the day. Yeah, I'll be out there. I'm going to sweat for 15, 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
But it's like you said, learning certain things in life, I feel like sometimes I'm trying to fast track it for them. Like, hey, look, this is all the things that are done. Like, I'm trying to get it all out. Not because I think anything's going to happen to me. No one knows if anything is. But it's like, how much can I get? Like, do I need to write a book? Do I need to maybe these podcasts will help one day they can go back and listen? And that's kind of why we do this. I feel like there's a lot of people here in town that have really great stories and, have done really great things for themselves. Was there a certain point in your career, now you're here 15 years, that you felt like, oh, yeah, I did it? Like, was it a number of clients you helped, or was it just a certain feedback you were starting to get?
Well, the beauty of my surgery, plastic surgery.
Is the beauty of it?
Yes.
You see it walking around the store? Yes.
Well, it's not that. The reason we all wake up and get to work for a reason, right? You get up and you're excited to get out here because of the results you can see. So what I love is, I see somebody walk into the office and there's some issue, some area where they have a little lack of self-confidence or some problem, right? And then you analyze it, you have a discussion with them, you come up with a treatment plan, then you perform the treatment, and then about 6 to 12 weeks afterwards, I get to see the result, which is fantastic, right? They're happier, more self-confident, they got a better smile, they got more of a spring in their walk, and that's it for me. And so I get these little pieces of joy every day that I'm in the office. I love it. The surgery's fun because then I know what they're going to see, and then I see the results in the afternoon on patients that I've, worked with over the last 15 years, and it's wonderful. And so that's it. That's what I love.
You reminded me of something I saw recently, and this was just a comment someone left on a post, and the comment was talking about happiness. And happiness and success are just, it's not a permanent feeling. It's not a permanent all day, I feel happy all day. It's the little tiny moments, like you mentioned, where you help someone or you did something, and it could last for 30 seconds, it could last for a couple minutes. And then the rest of the day is kind of like, okay, we're doing my daily stuff. But success and happiness, and mostly happiness, is these little tiny things we get when a song comes on, or you get a breeze when it's really hot, or you find something you lost. They're just little tiny things like, I feel super happy that happened.
Yeah, and that's it, like, you're talking about your kids. Your son came out and said, "Dad, let's kick the soccer ball around." Boom, he gets a smart.
Oh yeah, because he's obsessed, like obsessed,
right? And he's happy. 15 minutes out there. I mean, how many times have you kicked the soccer ball? He's done it how many times? But he's so happy when he gets out there. And I love that about little kids. I love that little freshness about the first time.
There's no worries. When you reach that point, there's no worries. It's not until you get to, like, I would say high school, maybe out of high school, you start to get, all right, now what am I doing? This is no longer playing, right? There's no worries whatsoever. And I feel those are the years you're supposed to learn the most, or try to, because you don't have so many distractions. It's when you get older, you have distractions, and it's like, I think people lose sight of maybe a goal they had, not because the kids are in the way. I think there's a lot of people that have been really successful with having kids, because maybe they're doing it for those kids, and that helps out quite a bit. Do you feel like you've done what you've done for the kids?
Partially.
They push you a little bit?
Partially. Yeah, you want to be more of an example for them, but it's my take on it is, and I'm sure you think the same way because of what you're doing, right now, is that what we can leave is our ideas and our thoughts.
1,000%.
Right? And so you got your kids, leave your ideas and thoughts. You got your spouses. You got everybody around you at work. You got your friends. You got your family. And so that's kind of what you do. And like they say, what was that? Sow an act, you reap a habit. Sow a habit, you reap a character. Right? And so that's what you're doing every day. And so, I do what I do for that, just like you, because you're doing this every day.
Well, we've done this for around 10 years, too. My cousin
wonderful.
Chris, he's had this brokerage for almost 20 years. He's been doing real estate almost 20 years, started when he was 18.
That's great.
And so seeing him do certain things, he led me into this world. And so now that I'm in this world, there is certain people that we got to bring on. Jessica's been here 9 years. My sister's been here 5 years. And we've had other people. Because it's like, hey, look, we're trying to solve problems. Like, real estate for us is the same thing. Someone comes and calls, hey, I have this issue. I'm living here, but I want to get out of here. I want to start doing this. I don't want to waste money no more. And it's like, cool, we're fixing your problem. And then we got this other one, a little bit different situation, similar, principles. Like, hey, okay, this is what we got to do first, 1, 2, 3, 4. But people come in, and it is one of those jobs that can get stressful. But I think, like you mentioned earlier, anything else, helping someone ultimately is the goal. Yeah. And then finishing that, it goes, okay, who's next?
Yeah. Making the world better a little piece at a time as you can. It's wonderful.
Oh man, I feel very therapeutic in this today.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just because, like I said, I told Jessica I came off from this weekend, and after, you ever had those weekends where you come back and it's like, oh, it was a really, really big high, so you're coming down, you're just like, oh man, like I got to go back to real life. It's kind of weird.
But you love your real life.
But I'm glad it was you today that came in, because I knew this was been scheduled, and I'm glad you came in. Did you know what to expect when you came in here? Did you have any idea who we were, what we're doing?
Yes, a little bit. Eliana gave me a little
bit.
Good. Yes.
We've had people come in super blind. They're like, "Is this what are we doing today? What is this?" And really, like I said, it's just talking to people that have great stories. You're celebrating a milestone. When's the party?
So it's September 29th. It's the Friday. Let me make sure I got the date right.
It's 29th.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's 29th at 6:30.
It's 29th at 6:30.
And what is the party called?
And it's called a Beauty Bash.
Beauty Bash.
It's our once-a-year event that we have to open our doors for the community, so that we can interact with the community at large, give back a little bit. There's taco truck and drinks and dancing and music and all kinds of stuff. And also where the community can learn more about what we have to offer. And at the same time, we can learn from the community what more we can bring to the table.
I like that. Do you notice trends here when it comes to your business? Like, is there seasons? Like, is there a season where I would imagine toward the holidays, it may be right around Christmas time or after the New Year, everybody kind of has, hey, guys, we're going in hiding for a little bit. We're going to get some stuff done.
Well, it varies, right? Every season is a season for a person, right? So you talked about holidays, right? So some people are waiting all year for the holidays because that's when the family comes in. So they want to be in top shape, right? So if they're going to want to get something done to feel better about themselves, they'll want it done early enough so they're recovered by the time of the holidays.
Good point.
Yeah, because
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. That's one group. And then there's another group who thinks more along the lines of what you're thinking. Hey, this is the holidays, so I don't have to go see people. So this is the time to get something done. So
This is the time to cover up. It's a little colder.
That's right. That's right. So you got that. Then you got, somebody who likes the summers, but others who don't want the summers. Some people who want tax return season, other people don't. So every season has its own population.
The reason I asked that is because like our business is seasons because people are in the summer, everyone's on vacations.
Yes.
And this happened a couple weeks ago. I told everybody, get ready. There's a big wave coming because people are going back to school. Kids are back in school. Let's try to knock this out before the holidays come. If we're going to be moving, let's do it now.
Yes.
And so the reason I asked that for you is because is there a certain season where, man, we've got a lot of this type of job, or hey, we got a lot of this type of
and
requests.
There is and there is because different age populations have different surgeries that they go for mainly, and so there's certain groups of people, like I said, who want to be maximized and in top shape for the holidays.
Hot girl summer. Oh, yeah.
Summer, fall, when school starts, you got a group who don't want to be anywhere near surgery. Because this is when the kids are going to get back into school. They got to help ferry the kids here.
PTA, all the different things like that.
Soccer practice in the evening. So it all depends. School teachers, for example, summers are ideal. School season, absolutely not. So it varies. Your business is a little different, right? Because nobody wants to move when school starts, right? I mean, it's just nobody.
Yeah, so that's why it goes in little seasons right before the holidays, and then I'd say right around Halloween, it starts to slow down quite a bit because everyone's parties, just doing events. Like, we don't want to move during the holidays. And then it gets slow again. And then January 1st, it picks up again.
Then, yeah, exactly. And come March, April, right? You guys are
well, especially right now because we've noticed. And how does it work with you? Because you offer financing, I'm assuming, right?
We do. We offer.
Do the rates that are the same federal rates that we have to oblige for are the same with y'all's?
Pretty much.
Really?
Pretty much because we offer Care Credit, Alpheon. We have a certain brokers, just like you guys. We take credit cards and all that. And so as the Fed increases their rates, just like it goes up for y'all, it goes up for us as well. So it's all the same thing.
See, the last 9 months, it's been a little bit difficult, mostly because interest rates have doubled what they were. Not that they're crazy, but they've doubled what they were just a couple years ago. Yeah. And a couple years ago, you had people that were just spending money left and right.
Because it was free.
It was basically free money.
It's free
and
money.
Those are the most vocal people. So like, wait, you're not getting the 3%? Don't buy right now. You should wait. And so it's holding back a lot of people who do want to make that investment that just haven't been able to do it
not
yet.
realizing that the 3% was an aberration. Right? I mean, I'm not a finance guy. You know more about this, but I know the interest rates have been higher than they have been since 2001.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, we had a 20-something year high, basically a high of 7.55 a couple weeks ago. And it kind of reaches that point just for a little bit and then it comes back down and people manage off. But I think that
3%, I don't know if we'll get there.
No, that was literally a gift. People ask me all the time, like, hey, we're going to get those 3%? So I'm like, no, short of a pandemic or I joke around that aliens come. I go, there's not going to be any point where the government wants to do that. We're trying to wean off of that right now. And there's so many other things, the election and a political time where it's just everyone starts trying to be the hero. Then maybe a little bit of a break. But until then, I think people are being a little tighter with cash, just kind of holding on. I don't know what they're waiting for, but they're waiting for something.
Correct. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Maybe it's more getting used to, okay, hey, this is a new norm. Because, you may not remember, but there was a time when interest rates were 18%.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the videos where they're like, well, it's a nice market right now at 14%.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, yeah, let's do it. But I think it was also wages were different. Inflation hadn't hit as hard yet.
Right.
You could buy a little bit more. Yeah. There's a lot of videos going around where it shows like the little old lady dancing. And it's like grandma dancing because she got her house for $89 back in 1975. And now it's worth like $2 million.
That's right. Los Angeles.
Have you lived in the same house since you've been here?
We have.
Yeah?
We have. We love it.
I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just
That's good. No, we love our home. So I hadn't been to Corpus really in the Air Force.
Why Corpus though? How'd you pick Corpus?
Well, we have some good friends in Corpus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a roommate in college and med school who moved into Corpus. He's a
Okay.
neurosurgeon, Matt Alexander. And so he said on the way, when we left Germany and I was going to LA for training, he said, Vijay, come to Corpus. You got to come to Corpus. I was like, okay, I'll come to Corpus. So we landed in Corpus.
Well, I know it was because of the beaches, because you got the California beaches.
Well, but I hadn't been to California yet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I had, but not to Southern California. Northern California beaches are beautiful, but it's very different. I mean, they're rocky, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not doing. So then he came to the airport, picked us up, went and stayed at his house, and a little bit of jet lag. So in the morning, I get woken up by the water reflecting the sunlight into the room. If he was a salesman, that was it.
Sold.
He sold. So then we went to LA, finished our training. LA was wonderful, great
LA
place.
just seems crazier, though.
Yes.
I've been a few times.
Yes.
I'm sure you can say more because you live there, but just outside looking in, whenever I've seen TV and then I've actually gone, there's certain parts of California, but LA, for some reason, it was like, let's just pass through a little bit. What part of LA did you live in?
We lived in Beverly Hills.
Oh,
Yeah, it was fun.
well, yeah, it's
Yes.
a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that, Calabasas, all the different nice neighborhoods. it was a little
Gorgeous,
different,
right?
Yeah.
They're gorgeous, but it's still very, very tough.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to know your neighbors. I mean, here in Corpus,
Everybody.
yeah, when I see you on the street, I'm going to stop you and say, how you doing? Because I care. Not just, hey, how you doing? I'm just keep walking on, not even turning as I go by. It's different. It's different. Our neighborhood, well, we know everybody. People stop in for tea without calling ahead, which is great, right? That's what we come to Corpus for. So your friends can, hey, Vijay, what are you
how's it
doing?
going? Yeah.
And just come on in. Hey, sit down. Well, let me get you some tea or beer or whatever.
What I was going to ask you, what do you like to do? It seems like you're pretty busy. Do you ever get time to just take a break?
We do. We go on vacation. We go on hikes.
Hikes here at Corpus?
Here in Corpus or outside. In Corpus, we're very busy.
Yeah.
So
So you go hiking when you go out of town?
when we go out of town.
Oh, like where?
Like now, we went, was with my wife and I went to California, so we went on hikes around Lake Tahoe.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Oh, it's just incredible.
Is it anywhere you visited when you lived there?
Oh, yeah.
Or only when you came back, you're like, you know what, let's go visit a couple places we haven't gone to?
Both. So there were some hikes that we had been on, of course, that had been there 25 years ago. So at that time, you could go park and do the hike. This time we went to the same place. Parking lot was full. Cars parked about half a mile down the road. So we didn't get to do the same hikes. We had to go some farther away hikes.
The last place we went to in California was in June. Me and my wife last year, or earlier in the year, we trained for a marathon. And so we went to San Diego.
Nice.
Have you ever been to San Diego?
Oh, yeah.
I tell people that San Diego is Corpus if Corpus got on steroids. And
Correct.
It's like, got their shit together.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do.
It'd be incredible.
Because it's got a very similar layout when it comes to the coast and it comes to the downtown and it comes to the Navy and all the different things that are around it. They've just done so much more with it.
They have done so much more with it.
Are you on any boards here locally?
My wife does a lot of it. I'm mainly on the medical side of things. I do a lot of volunteer stuff, and I'm on some boards on the medical side. But in terms of volunteer organizations, I help through my wife.
That's awesome. Because the reason I asked that is over the last couple of years, and I've gotten to know more people in this industry, and just actually even doing this, I've gotten to know more people that are very involved when it comes to the boards. I didn't realize what boards were maybe a few years back. I was like, a board, I'm on the board, I'm on the board.
Right.
I'm like, a board of what? Like when you picture board, you picture the movies and it shows the board. It's all these angry people at a conference table, right?
Yelling at
It's
each
always
other.
the angry people at a conference
That's right.
table, and they're like, oh, we don't want to upset the board. But then when you realize the different things that these boards are able to do, they're essentially shaping the city.
They really are, and it's all voluntary.
Yeah, and
Right.
that was the crazy part too. I was like, you're just volunteering time to go sit with all these people. It's like, well, yeah, somebody's got to do it. Because in our town, I'm sure you've seen this, we have a lot of people who'd rather just complain
Correct.
and leave ugly comments on
Yeah.
all the news stories that are positive
Yeah.
than actually go and do something. And so I had a recent guest. His name was Philip Ramirez. You know who that is? From Turner Ramirez. Who's doing incredible things, and he was telling me all the different boards that he's on, and he said the same thing. He's like, people come in and complain about the streets all day. They complain about the streets. He's like, what are you gonna do when we fix the streets? I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I'm complaining about, but no one's
The
willing
water.
to help.
The water.
is
Always
else.
something. Yeah. The thing is, once you decide you're going to be in a community, then I think you got to be fully involved, fully vested. So if you don't like the roads, get involved. If you don't like your neighborhood, get involved in the HOA. If you don't like the religious atmosphere, get involved in your church or your temple. So we do all that, and I think that's important. I agree with you. I love the fact that you're doing all that too. I mean, you got to. That's how you make an effect. I like the complainers too, though. I really do.
What do you like about the complainers?
Well, you got to have somebody who is willing to just call things out. Now, most of it's noise, but some of it, maybe they'll come back from San Diego and say, hey, in San Diego, they don't have potholes, right?
Well, that's what I've seen recently. I've asked different people that are up there. I'm like, who are y'all talking to? I'm like, we talked to San Antonio, we talked to Austin, we talked to Houston, we talked to all these different places where they're doing things, like you said, a certain way. It's like, how are y'all doing this? One of the recent ones that we heard was that all the street plan was like a 60-year plan. And they were able to condense it by talking to whoever to 12 years. I'm like, y'all went from a 60-year to a 12-year plan? What were y'all thinking when you had the 60-year plan? Who gave that idea? Who gave that?
They're out of office.
Yeah.
Right? They're not working here
But
anymore,
there's a lot of little
great.
things like that in our cities. Is there certain things that you're looking forward to, or that, let me ask you this way. Are the kids right now, because they're getting at that age, are they wanting to leave and go explore somewhere else for studies, or are they wanting to stay here?
So they're going to UT.
Okay.
Oldest one's in UT. The first one's left. Next one's on the launching pad. She's a senior. They have loved their life in Corpus.
Yeah.
They've loved it. None of them are saying, hey, you know what, Dad? I want to get out of here. Or, you know what, Mom? The farther I go, the better. Nobody's saying that. Everybody wants to go to UT, stick around Texas, and then, some of it has to do with where they get a good job, right? Say they want to be a automotive engineer. Well, there's no car manufacturing here, so they're going to have to go to the new Tesla plant in Austin. So, some of it's determined by economics, because you got a job, you got to get a job, wherever you live. But they have loved it.
Are any of them wanting to go into your field?
Yeah,
Really?
right now all of them want to do
Oh, really?
that. Yeah.
What do they like about it? What do they see Dad doing that they like? They're like, yeah, that's
What I do. I think they love the joy that I have. Every day I love to get up in the morning. I love to get to work. When I come home, I'm still smiling. I'm off a high, so they like it. And I think whenever kids see their parents loving what they do, that's what they want to do,
That's a good point.
You're not going to go home and complain and say, that doesn't measure right. You don't do that. Just like your dad never complained, right?
No, my dad loved it. He loved working with people, especially women. He loved going through the grocery store, and I'm sure you get this, or going to the mall. And growing up, I didn't know what a client was. All I thought a client was a pretty girl, because pretty girls
with nice hair.
Yeah, and he would go up and he would touch their hair in the grocery store. I'm like, this is weird. And my mom was just there smiling. She knows all these different people, women. They're friends of hers, or family, or friends, whatever. Right. And I was like, this is weird. So yeah, for a big part of my life, I thought a client was just a name for a pretty girl. And so yeah, he loved it quite a bit. He had a flexible schedule, and he's able to do different stuff. With me and the kids, I've had Gianna, my little girl, she's the oldest. She's been on here, and I didn't know until she said it that day. I was like, what do you want to do? And she talks about real estate, like maybe because she hears us do it, but she's very organized. So I think she wants to do more like the interior stuff, more the decorating, more the kind of organizing, making things after the fact. Fantastic. After the deal's done, Dad, that's when I want to step in.
That's great.
Did they go to the office with you?
Yes.
They do?
Yes, they do. Yes. So, except for the little guy.
Yeah. I'm just
a little too young yet.
That'd be weird.
But yes, what we do, sometimes they have a day and they say, hey, Dad, can I come to the office with you? So they come. Then, of course, I ask everybody first before I bring them into the room if it's okay if they can watch. Yeah. Say there's an emergency and somebody has...
Oh, so they're watching like in the operating room?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, the visit.
Oh, yeah.
In the operating room, I have asked some of my patients, because the first thing I have to do, is get permission, right? So if they're okay with it, and say my child wants to watch, then first they go through their training. I make sure they are all something called HIPAA certified. That's a law for privacy, and I'm sure you have the equivalent.
Guess who I saw on the table today? Dash table. It's like one of their teachers or a neighbor.
So my rule is you got to be at least 12.
Got it.
Yeah, they're mature before then, but you got to draw a line somewhere, right? So 12 to 14, and then after that they take the HIPAA course, and then they spend time with me. Say I go in and somebody has a bad dog bite or bad injury that I'm sewing up, and then it's after hours. Then I ask the person, hey, is it okay if one of my kids comes along? So they come in and they help. They're not really helping, but they think they're helping, which is great, and so they love it.
So I guess maybe I should know this. So you're not only a cosmetic. You mentioned a dog bite, just like you do kind of emergency little situations where people have they need you.
Absolutely. I do. It's mostly cosmetic, yes, but we do, like I said, you can't separate the two, right? So say somebody has a dog bite and the dog bit off the tip of their nose. Then we reconstruct the nose. We replace the nose. Or bit off a piece of their ear. We replace the ear.
So is that more of an emergency situation where they get in? Oh, okay.
No. Emergency, you got to think trauma.
Yeah.
Emergency is infection or bleeding.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
Well, if someone bites their nose, I'm thinking it's going to be...
you want to clean it off.
Yeah.
And if it's just a cut, you can close it. But if the nose is bitten clean off, then you don't want to do it right away. There's certain reasons why you want to wait just a little bit of time and then reconstruct it. Because as I explained, there's form and function, right? So there's reasons why you want to wait just a little while to optimize both the form and the function.
So this can be a silly question.
There's no such thing.
The war or what you do now, where have you seen crazier things?
Crazier things? Well, crazy in different ways,
Yeah.
I mean, the war's crazy,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's just horrible. It's just it.
Can't describe it, yeah.
It's terrible, right?
I guess maybe I meant to ask, is this more fun doing the cosmetic stuff? I would think.
More fun and more rewarding. I would like to think, as I'm sure you would, as we move on in life, we kind of do more of what we enjoy, right? So yes. So in that
That's
way,
why I don't do paperwork.
there you go.
I haven't done paperwork in a long time. I do not like doing it.
That's right. Luckily, it's all on the computer anyway now.
Most of it's digital, but we still do some legwork here and there.
So yes. So do I enjoy what I do now more? Mm-hmm. Yes, but not that I didn't at the time enjoy what I did then. I mean, I got tremendous rewards from that.
And
Loved
also,
it.
it led you to this direction
It led
because
me
you
in
got
this
that
direction.
experience.
Right. You don't want to ever change what happened before, because then you'd be changing where you are now. And where you are now is a great place.
I think a lot of people see someone like you, and this is the way I've always thought of plastic surgeons. They always seem just so experienced right off the bat. It's like, where do they come from? But it's these stories, 15 plus years of doing all these things leading up to now, where it's like, oh, now you'll see me. I've been busting my ass for 15 years.
That's right.
And now I'm getting recognition.
That's right.
Have you ever felt that way?
Working hours.
Especially in your line of work, because I'm sure a lot of it. Where does most of your business come from?
It's social media, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right. It's always word of mouth because because I like to treat. I mean, you use the word clients for your dad, right? Mm-hmm. And for yourself as well. When you meet them, they're family. I mean, it's much more than that.
You get pretty involved with some people. In our world, we get very involved with. Most of the times, it's in situations where maybe it's not a great move. It's a situation that they don't want to be in, be it divorce, death, downsizing, bills, facing foreclosure. There's a lot of situations where, we get to know someone really, really well, more than their friends or family might know. Because they haven't told them. They're embarrassed.
Don't know about that.
It's like, no one knows. Don't say anything. It's like, no, we're not going to say anything. We're not going to post you up with a big key, anything like that. So with you, do you ever have the secret clients who hey, I don't want people to know?
Everything's secret for me.
Sure.
I mean, when I see people, and I recognize everybody, because it's a sacred bond we have, right? I mean, when I have a patient, they're trusting me with their life, right? To improve something that they didn't like, and they want it improved or changed in a certain way so they feel better about themselves. So, of course, it's a sacred bond, and it's totally secret.
Yeah, you're not posting them up, tagging them.
Never.
I am.
Never.
Tag all your friends. So I guess that has to be word of mouth.
Yes. Now, we do post before and after, after everything's done, after they're fully healed, then, we make sure that they're okay with it. And if they're 100% okay with it and they've reviewed everything, then we post it without any identifying marks, right? There's no name, there's no face, there's no identifying anything.
That reminds me. So in the past, and I've seen your social media. Maybe I haven't seen this yet. Maybe because I'm scarred from my wife. But she would watch the TikToks or the Snapchats, and it's like a full day in the operating room.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Do y'all do that?
No.
Good.
No.
I wanted to cry one of the times when she watched me. She showed me these videos. She's like, here's the woman before and here's during. And it's like, one, I'm like, you can show that on social media? I was like, okay. And then two, they're showing all these different people. All the identifying marks are all gone. I'm just like, oh my God. I felt bad for the woman because they're doing all these different things. Do you ever feel for the patient when they're there? Is it a patient you would call, or the client? When they're on the table? It just
family, friends. Right.
I guess as a regular person, not someone that's in there, it feels so traumatizing. Do you ever feel like that?
Never.
Never?
Actually,
I guess it makes someone like you do what you're able to do, right?
It does, because my kids have asked me that. They said, Dad, when you make the incision or when you start, does it scar you?
Yeah.
You know, I know that they're not having any pain, right? Either because I've injected local anesthetic and they're awake, but they can't feel it, or they're under general anesthesia, right? And that's the only reason I do this, because I know my patient's not having any pain. Done this long enough now that I know their recovery is going to be good. And then at 3 months, they're going to be far happier with themselves than the day before. So I'm pretty confident in that. So I don't get scarred. But looking at it from the outside, if I were to take myself out of my current situation and put me back into, say, you know, the same age, but what I knew in high school, yeah, I'd be crazy.
I think only certain people can handle that, I would think. I think that makes a big part of what you do is being able to handle that.
It may be, but, you know, you rest assured in the fact that they're not feeling pain, and you rest assured in the fact that you're helping them so that at the end of the day, they're in a much better place because of what you and your team did.
Yeah,
right?
It's not like you're stumbling into these operating rooms like, oh, what happened here?
Right, but I think that makes you feel less traumatized. Does that make sense? Because, you know, in my mind, you know, and what I see is the finished product. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that makes it
You
all
already
worthwhile.
know, but that
Correct.
person doesn't. Do you ever have
Correct.
patients that kind of get cold feet towards
yeah.
operating day?
Everybody's nervous. You know, I call all my patients the night before, right? I call them and I talk to them and I say, hey, how you doing? And you know, just about everybody's excited and nervous. And that's normal.
Especially if they've never had any kind of cosmetic surgery before.
Right.
I'm sure you have some that are seasoned pros. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Yes, yes. But they're still nervous.
Sure.
Everybody's, because there's an unknown, right? And you know, am I nervous? I mean, I'm nervous enough to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Yeah. Because, I mean, the hair's not going to grow back, right? I mean, it's not a question of getting the dye wrong or, you know, burning the tips of the hair or something. I mean, this is a big deal. So, yes, just that nervous, but not so nervous that you're afraid, because that's counterproductive.
Do you only do certain jobs on certain days? And what I mean by that is, like, if you're doing, let's say, you know, like a full mommy makeover, is that like, hey, we only do those on Fridays? Let's get it on Fridays? No, it's just whatever day of the week?
Whatever day of the week, yeah.
I guess I'm thinking time-wise. Like, what does something like that take? Because when I've seen, again, the videos my wife would show me, it's like a 9-hour span.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing 9-hour surgeries.
Oh,
you know.
Well, I guess there's different people coming in, maybe. What is the longest surgery you've ever had?
Everything I do now is elective, right?
Okay.
Now, what is the longest surgery I've ever had? This was done probably a good 14, 15-hour surgeries.
Is this back in the war?
Yes.
Or is this cosmetic?
No. This is reconstructive. This is always cosmetic, yes, but reconstructive, where, you know, it's bilateral mastectomy, and you do something called a bilateral deep flap, and you got to make sure everything goes well. Yes, that's the longest. Now, that was not elective.
Sure.
You know, say you mentioned mommy makeover, right? So mommy makeovers can involve a whole bunch of different things, right? It can be just plain liposuction. It can be liposuction with fat transfer, with breast augment. It all depends, because a mommy makeover is returning the shape of the mother's body to what it was before babies, right? I mean, and so whatever it takes to do that. Now, I like to limit my elective procedure time to about 4 to 5 hours. Why is that? Once you cross that by a significant amount, the risks go up.
Sure.
So I don't do 9-hour cases.
Is that from just being under for so long, or
yes.
in your case, fatigue, or?
Yes. I mean, you bring up a good point.
Well, you said in 7 hours. I was thinking that's like someone at a good pace running 3 or 4 marathons.
Yeah.
It's a long
well, that'd be a
time
fast
period
marathon runner.
to be on your feet.
In my case, maybe 1.5. Maybe. Yeah, I have run a marathon.
Oh, cool. Dang, show up. He's like, under 2 hours.
Yeah, no, not 2 hours. It didn't even come close to 2 hours. Double that.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so it's in addition to that, we know that with longer surgeries, blood clot risks go up, infection risk goes up, recovery time goes up.
Sure.
So, and there's no reason that it all has to be done together. Like, say you're fixing an aorta, right? Or you're putting a new heart and a new lung into somebody. Well, that's going to take a while. However long it takes is going to take.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing, say, a tummy tuck and a liposuction and an arm lift, right? Well, and I know it should take 6 hours, then why not split it into 2?
Yeah.
Right? So you want to be, first it's safety. Safety first. Right? If it's an emergency, different deal.
Well, I bet you there's people that go in, they're like, hey, look, I only want to go under once. Knock it all out.
Yeah.
Because there's this is totally random, but there's a new thing for tattoos. Have you seen this? Where they actually will put you under, and they'll have 4 or 5 different tattoo artists go at you for 4 to 6 hours while you're under.
That's crazy.
So people are going, they're paying thousands.
Oh, yeah. Because
not only for the artist, but for the
anesthesiologist, DVT machine.
So they're going under and waking up with full sleeves, chest pieces, legs, like everything. And for a lot of, tattoo purists, if you want to call them, they're like, that's not the same. You got to earn the tattoos. For some people, they're like, no, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to get what I want done.
Well, I'm of 2 opinions. Now, one, anesthesia comes with risks.
Sure.
And so that'd be crazy. I mean, if my child wanted a tattoo and it took 6 hours under general anesthesia, I'd say you're insane.
Yeah, because they show these guys, they're on they have IVs in, they have everything in there, they have the heart monitors, they have like a full staff.
Yeah. I mean, that's safe, but say you have one patient who gets a DVT and a pulmonary embolism.
Yeah.
I mean, from tattoo. I mean, when it can be done in pieces and safer, right? To me, if you can do it safer, you should.
Sure.
Right. So if say somebody comes in and says, Doc, I want to be under once, and I want my arms, I want my legs, I want my nose, my neck, and mention 8 or 9 areas. And I would say, I can't do it.
It's in my best interest to say no.
Yeah.
We're going to split it up.
Yeah, because, it's not best for you. Because, at the end of the day, just like in your business, I know what's safe.
Sure.
And if they want something that's safe, perfect. But if they want something that's unsafe, well, it's my job to educate. And so until they realize that, it's unsafe, maybe I don't want to do it. And if they persist along that line, and I know it's unsafe, well, then it's my job to educate some more.
Yeah.
And then if they still persist, then it's my job to say, well, maybe I'm not the right person.
Yeah.
Because, you really need to have their best interests.
Well, I would say that a lot of that probably comes from some of the crazy social media accounts that are out there for plastic surgeons that I've seen. This is just my wife showing me different ones. They're just like randomly on TV. And you're like, and I have seen those long, all day, wife's a doctor too, comes in. They're both going back and forth. The person's there. You're like, y'all are there like all day doing everything.
Yeah.
I can see how, I'm glad that you're saying that, because for a lot of people that just maybe nerves, they're like, I just want to knock it out.
Yeah.
It's glad that someone's, not thinking, oh, cool, I'll just knock it out one day.
Right.
No, that's not the best thing for you.
I agree. I mean, right? You had that done.
Oh, yeah,
on
it wasn't.
different
It wasn't.
days.
Yeah, this is 20-something years worth of tattoos. This is not like a one day.
You wouldn't go under general anesthesia to have that all done once. Right?
Maybe one of my legs. Maybe one of my legs, because it's around the knees where I feel like it would really hurt. Maybe one of my knees. Do you have any tattoos?
No, sir.
Do any your family have tattoos?
They haven't told me.
Like, oh,
if they do, I don't know. But no, I have none.
Okay.
No, ex-military and.
That's surprising. Yes, a lot of times you just get it over there when you're.
So there was a time I thought about it, but this is years ago. And we didn't find a tattoo parlor, and the next day I didn't want one.
Was it something particular?
No.
You're just like, I'm gonna get a random tattoo off the wall?
Yeah.
Really?
Crazy.
Where were you at?
I mean, we were at the California State Fair. I was 22 years old, right? And you're there with people and you're having a good time. And in Sacramento, we couldn't find a tattoo parlor.
That seems weird.
Yeah.
Because they're all over the place.
I know. Now.
Yeah, now.
But I don't think back in 91 they were. Or in 95. But I don't know.
Do you remember what you were going to get?
I have no idea.
You were literally going to walk into a tattoo shop. That'd be like someone going to you and be like, hey, just whatever you think.
Which I would never do.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm happy I didn't find a tattoo parlor.
That's good.
Yeah. Because I would have regretted it the next day.
It would have been like a random tiger. Like, what does that mean?
I don't know what it is.
What was I gonna ask
Which
you?
is terrible. Thank God.
All right, so tell us about the event one more time.
The event. Okay, so September 29th. It starts at 6:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Come visit us, see our friends, see what we have to offer. Our doors will be wide open. It's at our office.
What's the address?
5642 Esplanade Drive.
Okay.
So 5642. So
what's that next to for people for reference?
It's behind the IBC Bank.
On.
So if you go down Staples.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just before you hit Saratoga, you make a left.
Gotcha.
You know, right before Cats.
Yeah.
So Cats
just that
is
little
on one-
area over there was a lot of doctor's office.
Correct.
Okay. I know exactly
Just
what
there.
you're talking about.
Just there. So come on down. It's a great event. You know, we'll come meet you, get to know us. We'll get to know you.
Well, I feel
and-
like we've got to know you quite a
Yeah,
bit. You've been
good.
wonderful, and I'm not
thank
trying to
you.
cut you off.
That's good.
But, you know, this is one of those things where I enjoy talking to different people from different fields,
Perfect.
especially that have reached a certain peak in success where they're like, hey, this is the advice that I would give to anybody, and you've been really giving with that, so I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, this is Gino's table. I think everybody brings something to the table. You obviously bring a lot, so I
Thank
appreciate you coming in. The last
Yes,
thing
sir.
I'm going to ask you to do before you leave is you can grab one of these Sharpies,
Uh-huh.
and if you just want to sign our table somewhere, actually, let's start moving it this way. If you want to kind of get somewhere over here,
Ooh.
that'd be really great. We're trying to fill that side
Alright,
up.
let's
But thank
see
you
what
very much,
color.
and I look forward to going to your event.
Please come, sir.
And it was really great talking with you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate
My
you.
pleasure. My pleasure. All right.